Swadika, good morning. Welcome to Newsline. It's Wednesday, February 19th of 2014. My name is Cholapansa Narula. In today's main stories, a total of 66 people have been injured and 4 people died during clashes between police and anti-government protesters. Let's have a look at today's top story. Kun Chalerm Yubamrung, Director of the Center for Maintaining Peace and Order and Labour Minister, has vowed to reclaim all of the demonstration sites long held by PDRC protesters. According to Kun Chalerm Yubamrung, the operation to reclaim protest sites has gone smoothly so far. CMPO officials have successfully taken control of the Energy Ministry and detained more than 80 protest leaders and supporters who will be subject to punishment for violating the emergency decree. Officials will carry out their operation until all of the sites taken by the protesters have been returned. Chalerm reiterated that the CMPO would abide by Prime Minister Yingluck Shinawat's demand that it refrain from using force in its mission. Meanwhile, CMPO Secretary General and Department of Special Investigation Chief Parit Pengdit said security forces regretted the loss of lives as they had continued to put pressure on anti-government protesters without resorting to violence. He made known that protesters deployed M79 grenades as well as other weapons to combat police during the operation. As a result, 1 police officer was killed and 17 others were wounded. Police are also pursuing protest leaders and PDRC guards wanted by authorities. 2 protest leaders identified as Ravi Machamadon and Tosapon Kautima have been arrested by police along with 142 other members. The Royal Thai Police has confirmed officers did not use lethal weapons and live ammunition during their operation to retake the protest sites yesterday. The police said 2 protest leaders were arrested and 1 officer was killed by clashes at Pan Phar Bridge. Police spokesperson, Police Major General Piya Utayo, said the police's Operation Peace for Bangkok at 5 rally sites was aimed at arresting the protest leaders with warrants and opening the blocked roads. The officers were able to vacate 2 sites, the government complex on Dang Wattanat Road and the Ministry of Energy, where 2 protest leaders and 144 protesters were detained. All of them were brought to the headquarters of the Border Patrol Police Region 1 for interrogation. As for the confrontation at Pan Phar Bridge, 39 protesters were arrested. The officers also found evidence that lethal weapons had been used against them. The arrested protesters would face charges of insurrection and violation against the emergency decree. Meanwhile, the Erawan Center reported that a total of 66 people have been killed and 4 people died during clashes between police and anti-government protesters at various occupied sites in the city of Bangkok. Police officers, protesters and press members have been taken to hospitals after the clash at Pan Phar Bridge. Police Lieutenant Colonel Pongsakorn Sangklom from Banglamung Police Station in Chonburi was reportedly killed in the confrontation, while the other 3 deaths were civilians. The Director for Center of Maintaining Peace and Order, Chalerm Yubamrung, earlier said the police operation to reclaim sites occupied by PDRC protesters will continue until all areas are cleared of demonstrators. The political tension has risen high after CMPO decided to launch an operation to reclaim the public areas from the anti-government protesters. As you know, that 4 people died, including a police officer. So joining us now on the line for a special phone interview is Police Colonel Grisana Patanacharan, Deputy Spokesperson of the Royal Thai Police. Swadika.
Swadika, good morning.
Morning. How are you doing today?
Good, thank you. How about yourself?
Great. It's a pleasure to have you here with us, sir. So let's get into business here. What are the tactics or measures the CMPO had deployed to retake back the public areas? And after the clashes at Pan Phar Bridge that we saw yesterday, will the strategies be the same for the operation in other areas?
The CMPO has begun the process of law enforcement since last Friday with the purposes of carrying out arrest warrants for those who are wanted by the authority. The CMPO has focused on 5 protest sites, including the Government House compound, the Ministry of Energy on Dang Wattanat Road protest site, Ministry of Interior, and also at the Democracy Monument. Police measures undertaken will depend on the situation. It will be transparent and fully in compliance with law and regulation, and the the press was also invited to observe the operation as well. Police also take meticulous care when carrying out the arrest warrant, and the CMPO wished to reaffirm that the CMPO has no intention to use of force to handle the situation. And following the CMPO initiative to restore the functioning of the government agencies affected by the protesters' blockade, and by far 48 government agencies have now resumed their functioning, and the CMPO will continue the process of restoring the functioning of the remaining government agencies in order to provide services for the general public. And the CMPO has also ordered the government civilians to avoid confrontation with the protesters, and mobile rapid units will also be made available in case of emergencies. So the police measures undertaken will be fully compatible with law and order, and also with the transparency.
I see. So 2 sites have been vacated, and a number of rally sites are still remaining. So what's the next plan of CMPO?
So we have to closely monitor the situation, and any measures undertaken will be assessed very carefully by the team of the CMPO. As I said earlier, that any measures undertaken will depend on the situation on that particular period of time. I can't tell you exactly when or how. It just depends on the situation.
I see. Let's talk about the election issue now. What is the progress on the cases involving individuals disrupting the polls, and will legal charges be taken against them?
Thai police yesterday reported that a total of 329 cases have been brought to the authority nationwide, 160 of which involves all kinds of obstruction of the election, whereas 169 cases involve illegal actions against those election officials who failed to perform their duties both on the advance and general voting. And the criminal court also issued the arrest warrant for 79 persons by far for this count.
I see. So 79 people. Have those individuals been identified as yet?
I just said that the criminal court just issued 79 arrest warrants for 79 persons for these counts. So and the total of number is 329. So we are working very hard to file to the court in order to for the court to issue the arrest warrant for these charges.
I see. Is there anything you want to say to members of the public, and what are your suggestions to them regarding the ongoing protests?
Oh, yes. The Thai citizens have the right under the Constitution to peaceful assembly and without weapons. However, such expression shall not violate other people's rights for peaceful living. So please be mindful and conscious when joining political rally. And please do not do any actions that are against the law. And please stay vigilant as attempts have been made to escalate the political tension as seen yesterday. And please also assist the police to report any incidents or any suspects to the police nearby, particularly those who witnessed yesterday's incident. You could also report to the police at the police call center at number 1599. And the CMPO wish to use this opportunity to reassure to the public that we will do our best to restore peace and order back to normal.
I see. Well, that will be it for today. Thank you very much, Mr. Spokesperson.
Thank
you very much for joining us. That was Police Colonel Grisana Pathanacharan, Deputy Spokesperson of the Royal Thai Police. Moving on, the Prime Minister has assured rice farmers of the government's sincere intention to solve problems in its rice support scheme, saying payments will be made to all the farmers participating in the program. Minister Yingluck Shinawatra made a televised announcement on the National Broadcasting Service of Thailand, or NBT, saying the rice program was designed to uplift the quality of life of farmers, as well as to help them create income and greater stability. According to the Prime Minister, a number of farmers have already received the money for their pledged rice, and that all farmers taking part in the program will be paid. The Thai Premier has also urged anti-government protesters not to link the matter with politics, telling them to stop using the farmers as a tool to topple the government, as it was elected by the majority of Thais. Ms. Yingluck went on to disclose that the Bank for Agriculture and Agricultural Cooperatives, or BAAC, would grant rice farmers owing money to the bank a 6-month extension for their repayments, adding that the bank would issue more loans to farmers who are planning to conduct or are already in the process of conducting off-season cultivation. Lastly, the Prime Minister gave a strong assurance that the government would do its best to protect the rights and benefits of the farmers. The Government Savings Bank, or GSB, has announced after a meeting that the 5 billion baht loan granted to the Bank for Agriculture and Agricultural Cooperatives is being recalled amid pressure from customers and employees. Chairperson of the GSB Board of Directors, Chu Jira Kongkeo, said after a meeting with the bank's labour union that the bank will cancel its existing 20 billion baht credit line to the BAAC on the interbank market. The move came after scores of GSB customers withdrew deposits worth over 30 billion baht. The bank has suspended lending to the BAAC following a backlash from the public and its union. The GSB had earlier asserted that the 5 billion baht advance was not meant to fund the rice pledging scheme. GSB President Warawit Chailimpa-Montri has also resigned from his post despite earlier resisting calls from employees to do so. His resignation will take effect in 30 days. Mr. Jira is set to release an additional statement to the bank's customer regarding the recall of the funds soon. We'll now take a break. Up next, Southeast Asian stocks were mixed on Tuesday, with Thai shares underperforming. Don't go away.
Open the world of information. Embrace public participation. Present Thainess to the world. New dimension of the government's public relations. The 80th anniversary of the Public Relations Department. Creative media for the society. Mobilizing Thailand towards the ASEAN community.
เมื่อมนุษย์ทำลายสมดุลทางธรรมชาติแล้วมนุษย์ก็เป็นผู้ประสบภัยพิบัติจากธรรมชาติร่วมสร้างอนาคตลดภัยพิบัติระดมพลังพลิกฟื้นคืนผืนป่าในทุกชุมชนทั่วประเทศ
For those who have Android smartphones, you can download a PRD News application by searching for PRD News English in Play Store. That way, you can stay up to date with the latest happenings in Thailand.
Welcome back. This is Newsline. Finance Minister Kittirat Naranong has announced that the government has lowered its 2014 budget deficit target to 2% and called on all sides to help sustain Thailand's economy. The Finance Minister posted a message on his Facebook page saying that the government demonstrated its fiscal discipline by deciding to decrease its budget deficit target from 4 to 2% of the GDP. The government had worked for less than 3% of the GDP in the 2013 fiscal year and set a goal to further decrease it to just 2% in the 2014 fiscal year. Mr. Kittirat asked all groups to help support the economy, which had been running well, and lead it forward with stability. And according to the Commerce Ministry, the nation should prepare itself for an upward pressure on vegetable prices as summer conditions arrive. Meanwhile, the prices of various meat are returning to normal as Chinese New Year celebrations has passed. Pork prices are now under 140 baht a kilogram from the previous 160 baht during the Lunar New Year. The ministry stated that the prices would remain at this level unless the market faced a lack of supply due to weather conditions. Meanwhile, egg prices have already decreased as size 3 eggs are now sold wholesale at 3.1 baht, while retail prices are in the range of 3.3 to 3.5 baht each. Vegetables share a similar trend except for limes, which are now priced at 4 to 4 baht 50 satang, each due to the hotter conditions of summer. Director General of the Internal Trade Department, Somchat Soithong, gave an assessment of the market's current overall pricing program, saying that prices of pork and poultry products have returned to normal. He also explained that vegetable prices may have jumped as a result of the lower temperatures at the beginning of the year, but output had now increased. He said the ministry officials have been instructed to monitor vegetable prices closely for any unfair pricing as hotter weather affects some of the vegetable output. Mr. Somchai Titsuchon, Research Director of the Inclusive Development Division of Thailand Development Research Institute, or TDRI, forecast that the national economic growth in the first half of this year would reach 3%, while the performance during the other half of the year would depend on the political situation. Mr. Somchai Titsuchon said that at the moment, TDRI could not accurately assess the effects of the political situation on the nation's economy, as the matter is still under development. He said it is quite apparent that politics would definitely have negative effects on the economic performance, as the government under the interim status has limited authority in budget management, which cripples the administration and damages the public and investors' confidence. Nonetheless, the research director of TDRI indicated that the export sector remains the only positive factor driving the economy slightly forward thanks to the global economic recovery. He said the economic expansion during the first 6 months of this year would reach 3%, while the figure in the other half of the year would have to take the political situation then into the calculation. Thai Airways International has begun providing Wi-Fi service for passengers on 13 of its Airbus carriers at a starting cost of $4. According to Chok Thai Panyayong, Senior Executive Vice President of the Commercial Department and Acting President of Thai, people traveling on Thai flights can now avail themselves of the new onboard Wi-Fi internet service called Thai Sky Connect. The service is accessible after takeoff and is disconnected before landing. The service fee starts at $4.5 for smartphones and $14.5 for tablets and laptops, and is payable by credit or debit cards. As a special promotion, the airline is exempting the fee for all passengers in the business class for the first 3 months of service. At present, the Thai Sky Connect service is available on 7 planes of the A330 or 300 model and another 6 of the A380 800 model. The airline has set a target to expand the service to 20 more planes in its fleet within 2 years' time. Southeast Asian stocks were mixed on Tuesday, with Thai shares underperforming as caution prevailed due to continued political risks amid concerns over sluggish economic growth this year. Thailand's SET index ended down 0.5% yesterday after having hit an 8-week closing high in the previous session. Foreign investors sold a net $8.57 million worth of shares, extending the net outflow to $906.5 million in the last 17 straight sessions. The unrest has already hit the economy, with data published on Monday showing the economy grew just 0.6% in the fourth quarter from the third. Malaysian shares edged down 0.1% from a 5-week closing in the previous session. However, Singapore shares rose 0.05% to close at their highest level in 3 weeks, while Jakarta's composite index ended steady at a more than 3-month high. Philippine stocks, meanwhile, gained 0.4% to a 2-month high. Vietnam's benchmark VN index gained 0.8% to a more than 8-month closing high, supported by a central bank ruling that could ease banks' provisions for bad debts. And let's check out the exchange rates and the commodity prices.
Open the world of information. Embrace public participation. Present Thainess to the world. New dimension of the government's public relations. The 80th anniversary of the Public Relations Department. Creative media for the society. Mobilizing Thailand towards the ASEAN community.
นุษย์ทำลายสมดุลทางธรรมชาติและมนุษย์ก็เป็นผู้ประสบภัยพิบัติจากธรรมชาติร่วมสร้างอนาคตลดภัยพิบัติระดมพลังพลิกฟื้นคืนผืนป่าในทุกชุมชนทั่วประเทศ
For those who have Android smartphones, you can download a PRD News application by searching for PRD News English in Play Store. That way, you can stay up to date with the latest happenings in Thailand.
Welcome back. The Department of Disaster Prevention and Mitigation has reported that 10 provinces have been declared drought-affected areas. Mr. Chatchai Promlert, Director General of the department, said that the drought-affected areas cover 37 districts, 228 sub-districts, and 2,222 villages. The 10 provinces are Uttaradit, Sukhothai, Buriram, Mahasarakham, Khon Kaen,ศรีสะเกษ สิงห์บุรี สระบุรี ฉะเชิงเทรา and จันทบุรี The Department of Disaster Prevention and Mitigation has helped people who are affected by the dry weather by providing water trucks to regularly deliver water where it is most needed and coordinating with the provinces to make a comprehensive and effective water management and distribution plan. This will mean that people have an adequate water supply during the dry season. The Department of Disaster Prevention and Mitigation also asks people to use water sparingly and to prepare reserves of water for consumption. Farmers should make an agricultural plan in accordance with the water allocation plans in the area and stop growing off-season rice. This is to help protect crops and rice fields from being damaged by water shortages. People affected by the drought can seek assistance at the Center for Disaster Prevention and Mitigation at the department's provincial offices or by calling the 24-hour hotline number 1784. The United Nations Children's Fund, or UNICEF, is joining hands with government agencies and the private sector in giving education to underprivileged children in the northern province of Chiang Mai. UNICEF has held a conference in Chiang Mai to brainstorm ideas on how everyone can be involved in the process of providing educational opportunities to underprivileged children, especially migrants who are normally taken for granted when it comes to social welfare. Taking part in the meeting were representatives from UNICEF, the United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization, or UNESCO, Chiang Mai's Chamber of Commerce, local educational institutions, and other related agencies. There are many factors that cause migrant children to skip school, the two major ones being affordability and parents' ideas that education is not important to their kids. And that's it for today's edition of Newsline. If you have any suggestions or comments, please write to us. The email address is newsline.nbt@gmail.com. Also, you can follow us on Facebook, simply typing in NNT. And also you can check out our website, that is thainews.prd.go.th/newseng. Right, we're going to say goodbye today with gold dredging in the province of Lampang, where local people have found traces of golds in the river. I'm Cholapan Sanarula. Have a wonderful day. Swadee ka.